Battlefield just embarrassed Black Ops 7. That's what everybody's saying. But is it actually true? Let's talk about it. Well, guys, I feel like I've seen this story before. Let me take you back to 2016, guys, if you didn't know. Call of Duty is announcing their brand new game, and the community wants a boots-on-the-ground shooter. And Call of Duty does quite the opposite of that. They announced Infinite Warfare, which is another jetpack game in space. That didn't go over very well. The entire community disliked the trailer. It was so disliked that it set records for the most disliked gaming trailer of all time. Probably gaming video in general. And what Battlefield does to fight this is they do exactly what the people wanted. They do a World War I shooter, boots on the ground, very grounded, realistic story. The white stripes were playing on the trailer. It was amazing. The destruction, it was exactly what Battlefield fans had wanted forever again. And it does perfectly well. The trailer blows up for how good it is. No pun intended, because of that big thing, you know what I mean, in the trailer. But here's the thing. Call of Duty still outsold Battlefield that year. But I've been thinking about this, but let me finish the story here. We fast forward to 10 years later, and here we are in, well, 2015. It's 9 years. I didn't go to school for math, which is good. And here we are. Black Ops 7 gets announced. People kind of want boots on the ground. They want casual shooters, and the thing gets completely dislike bombed. I think right now it's at like 40,000 likes and 200,000 dislikes at the time of filming this. And Battlefield once again goes back to Battlefield 6. They go back to a modern shooter, and the beta, it does absolutely insane. The numbers, they set records for the amount of people that have played the Battlefield beta. I think there was 500,000 at one point on Steam, which beat the Modern Warfare 2 highest player count, which we can talk about that, but either way, it's a success. And I have all my notes here. That's why I got my phone here, because I just want to kind of rant. Some of these videos that I've been doing lately have been more rants rather than, you know, doing blank in every COD, just because I'm very passionate about Call of Duty. As you can tell, my hands are flying all over the air. But anyway, I thought more about this because this has kind of been the comparison. Wow, this is 2016 all over again. And this is why I'm a little bit nervous this time for Call of Duty. Let me explain to you my thoughts. Let's first go back to 2016. And the reason I think that Call of Duty did end up outselling Battlefield 1 in the long run and keeping a lot of their core community, myself included, was they did a little something, if you guys remember. They introduced Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare Remastered. So they brought this game in with that. They announced it that if you bought the $100 edition, I can't remember what it was called, special edition, whatever, you would get Infinite Warfare and you would get Modern Warfare Remastered. Well, being the sucker that I am, and probably Call of Duty knowing the sucker that I am, that's the version I bought, and I played Call of Duty 4 the entire year. The entire year. Didn't even try Battlefield 1 because I'm like, I love COD 4, one of my favorite CODs ever. This is remastered. This is amazing. So let's dive into that right there. This year, Call of Duty does not have anything to fall back to unless they have something hidden in the, you know, the archives, you know, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which they did the campaign, but they didn't release the multiplayer. That could be a good idea if, you know, this goes sideways. But hey, let's just act like they don't have anything lined up. This is where things are going to get interesting, because despite, I think, the trailer getting review bombed, I do think people enjoyed the Battlefield 6 beta more than what they've seen visually with Black Ops 7. Now, I want to be cautious with this kind of back and forth here because nobody's played Black Ops 7. The beta's not out yet. So we can't really like say this game's gonna suck, Battlefield is better, until we get to the beta. And then if the beta sucks, then we can have this comparison of like, yo, Battlefield is going to destroy Call of Duty this year. But I think here's the bigger thing that we need to be thinking about is there is going to be a lot of push and pull this year, which is very good for us, the consumer. Now, I'm going to go over a few things that I think kind of make us both win. And I think Call of Duty does need this wake-up call. So Call of Duty doesn't have a remaster to kind of have a crutch this year. And another thing that they announced was that they were going to have carry forward, which we talked about in the previous video. And skill-based matchmaking is still going to be a thing in this game. So there's another two things that Call of Duty has working against it. While Battlefield has come out and said, you know, we don't do that. We're not going to do the skins this year. We're going to keep it very limited to the realistic modern shooter that it is. And they've already talked, they've been open about their matchmaking, like, hey, it's a little bit more free, it's a little bit more connection based. And you could really feel that in the beta, where you would have some games where you had to try, and you'd have to have some games where, you know, you could prop your feet up and you'd still go 17-7. So that is also another thing that I think is going against Call of Duty. So we have no remaster to go back onto if the game does flop. We have the systems of wacky skins already going to be in place in Season 1. The first month of Black Ops 7 may be amazing, but as soon as Season 1 hits, we say in big doo-doo, Jaja, because we're going to see Beavis and Butthead flying around. And then the skill-based matchmaking always is a topic of discussion. It just is what it is. The looser the matchmaking, I think the better. And I'm going to do a deep dive into that for another video at another time, because I don't really want to talk about that subject right now. I'm going to do a real deep dive into how it's impacted Call of Duty over the years, and it impacted content as well, like what content you consume. But that's just a little Easter egg into the next video. So a couple notes that I have down here. I think we need to talk about how these two titans in the industry, at the end of the day, this is going to help us, hopefully. You know, I think anytime there's competition in games, it always helps the consumer. You know, I'm very cautious to say this, but, you know, Battlefield had this secure boot thing in the beta where you had to, you know, if you were playing on PC, you had to turn this on, and it kind of helps with the anti-cheat. And I feel like the next day or the next week, Call of Duty did the same thing. Now, people out there, you might, you know, that know PCs might go, oh, they needed to do that. Well, why didn't they beat Battlefield to the punch with that? You know, like, even if that was something that was on by default, that was going to be some future setting that everybody adapts, why did Call of Duty wait till after Battlefield did it? Because Battlefield was looking good when they did it. They turned that on and people went, oh, wow, they're actually, you know, helping to prevent hackers. And then Call of Duty followed suit. I think Call of Duty just needs to be very careful with this time. And I've said it again. And I kind of feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit with this video, but I'm just very, very passionate about this game. I want Black Ops 7 to succeed, even though that's like the unpopular opinion around here nowadays. You know, I want to make sure that they're not reactive, like, which right now it feels like they are, but let's come out and say, hey guys, we heard the feedback. We don't want to do the skins. We get it. You know, we won't, that'll ruin the theme of the game. We'll get rid of it. But again, post-launch content is very important with these games. Everything's kind of a live service game now. People need constant updates because Fortnite kind of brought that into the realm. And if we're getting updates in Black Ops 7 that just kind of they just kind of ruin the game over time, it's just going to be so sad. But can Call of Duty recover from this? And I think the answer is yes. Like, if they were to just come out and say, we're hearing the feedback, and I'm not saying that they always say this, they're hearing the feedback, hear the feedback and actually do something about it this time. You know, MW2, they heard the feedback. We hear the feedback about the minimap. We hear the feedback about the footsteps. We hear the feedback about the gun smoke. Well, they didn't do anything the entire year. The game was the exact same from September to whenever people stopped playing that game. And then, you know, it feels like with this game, they're saying, yeah, we hear the feedback. We want to monitor this. And I think they did do a good job of monitoring the feedback of how the movement is, because apparently it's supposed to be a little bit like it's not going to be as cracked out is what it sounds like. And I think that was part of the Black Ops 6 problem, where it was just, what is going on here? You know what I mean? Like, let's calm down a little bit. And if it's less cracked on top of like a little bit of wall bouncing, I don't really see a problem with that. And so I think some of the things that really bug me are when and I said this in the other video the other day as well, is, you know, Call of Duty saying they're too big to fail. Now, from a standpoint of they have Game Pass and, you know, they're making Call of Duties for the next 5 to 10 years already. Like, yeah, they're probably technically right. It probably is too big to fail now, but I don't think it's too big to kind of fall off. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, it's not going to be like it's not in stores anymore and Call of Duty doesn't exist, but it's going to be, it can slowly become the game where like you almost get made fun of for playing it. And I've said that in previous videos too. Right now, it feels like Call of Duty is the game where you still play Call of Duty. You play Call of Duty, although, you know, millions of people still play it. It has that reputation right now, rather than, you know, like with Battlefield, it feels like, yo, hop on Battlefield. Everybody's having a good time. We're all having fun. It's like this cool experience. Everybody's friends list was Battlefield 6 beta. And that reminds me of reminiscent of like the golden age of Call of Duty, where everybody was playing it. You hopped on your friends list and, you know, everybody was on Black Ops 2. Everybody was on MW2. And I feel like if they really listen to feedback, they can become that game again and not just become a game that dies after 1 month. You know, I look back to I want to show my age here a little bit. I think back to Medal of Honor. I mean, Medal of Honor was the game. It was the first person shooter game. And now I think it's a VR game. Is that how bad it's gotten? Y'all, if you're older out there, Airborne, European Assault, Frontlines. I mean, these games were unbelievable. And now that is the most dead franchise of all time. And I mean, even we could go to Halo. If you were to tell me in 2007, 2008, that Halo would be where it is, where Halo Infinite is pretty much a bust. Their content is whatever for it. And they didn't make a BR and adapt with the times. And they're just like kind of a shell of their former self. And nobody even knows what, like somebody that's 14 years old has no idea what Halo is. And that just makes me sad, because that was a game that I grew up on. And so I just want Call of Duty to be aware that giants can be taken down, you know, in anything, not only in life, not only in whatever instance you want to talk about, and especially in gaming, you know. And I feel like we're teeter-tottering in that area right now, because we're getting a back-to-back Black Ops. Now, again, I want to make sure when Call of Duty watches these videos, listen, I feel like too many times we as creators get ripped on for being shills, and we almost get a little too afraid to speak our mind. I mean, obviously there's plenty of people that speak their mind, but maybe it's a little too harsh the way they speak their mind. So I'm saying this from an aspect of like, please, Call of Duty, listen to us. We want this game to succeed. I think even people that were commenting this made me buy Battlefield, deep in their heart, they probably want this game to succeed. They really do. And I just think I'm really excited this year to see how this competition helps us as consumers win. I mean, I know Battlefield has already come out with adjustments from the beta. They just tweeted it a couple minutes ago, and they're kind of toning down things, adding a little recoil here and there. And, you know, again, we won't know exactly what is going to happen until we play the beta of Black Ops 7, but I'm just excited to see how post-launch will be, how they'll handle like microtransactions. Like Battlefield, let's be honest, Battlefield can blow it, guys. Like, this is EA we're talking about. You know, EA a few years ago, we wanted to cancel these guys. Like, I don't know what's going on with the Switch, but it shows you that the sentiment of the people can be changed if feedback is listened to. And that's what, there's no secret that the guy who's in charge of Battlefield 6, Vince Zampella, he was the person in charge of pretty much the golden age of Call of Duty. And I think that guy has a real good handle on what people want as gamers. Like, he just gets it. And so I'm just excited to see what is going to happen. I want to make sure, you know, I want to make sure my opinion, I am a Call of Duty creator at the end of the day, and I definitely think that when you just constantly crap on the game, it just doesn't get, I think that falls on deaf ears. I think, just imagine if you were making a product and all they did was crap on and crap on and crap. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to listen to their feedback anymore. So I want to make sure I give the feedback in very casual feedback. And so I think if Black Ops 7 wants to compete, the first thing they need to do is really take a look in the mirror. I think I think futuristic is always looked negatively upon. Black Ops 2, the launch was, the comments of the launch trailer were not positive. Black Ops 3, very similar. They were both kind of rejected at the launch because they were like, we were used to boots on the ground modern warfare. And when we saw them, we're like, oh no, where is Call of Duty going? But those games were so good that you don't even think about that anymore. You think about it, how iconic those two games are, how good, how much fun. And this game could be so much fun. So don't write it off just yet. Wait till we play the beta and wait till we get a couple months of content, because the back and forth, I think, is going to be very, very interesting this year. So to summarize, do I think Battlefield destroyed Black Ops 7 at how they're launching and how they're going about it right now? Yes, I do think that. I think Battlefield, I've seen multiple people like Modern Warzone, Charlie Intel do these polls who are Call of Duty pages, say, what game are you going to play this year? And it's always Battlefield, 75 to 25%. So right now, Call of Duty is losing, but there's a few decisions that they can make that I think that they can get that back to, like, all right, maybe 60-30, maybe, you know, or 60-40 or 70-30, or maybe even 50-50. But that's 50-50 is a little bit of copium there. But I know I'm sitting here just rambling now, but I feel like this is important to give my thoughts, my unedited thoughts, rather than all chopped up and whatever you want to call that now. So yeah, my plea to these people are, make sure you try your best, man, to listen to us this year, because man, I think we gotta, the amount of maps we're getting, the amount of new guns we're getting, the UI, to me, it actually looks cool. Like, I don't hate futuristic CODs. So I am optimistic, and I'm optimistic because, number one, I think Battlefield is going to make Call of Duty pay attention this year and actually try. And I'm excited for a futuristic title, but we'll have to see how they manage it. You know, we'll do a 3 month later, you know, maybe in December, we kind of compare these games and we'll see what happens, because it's all going to be based on how these are managed after they launch, not betas and not words. We need to see actions from both sides. Battlefield 6, you said you're not going to do skins. You said you're going to keep the matchmaking loose. I expect to see that come October 10th. And Call of Duty, you said you're listening to feedback about the skins. Well, I expect you to actually listen, because right now I tweeted, you know, there needs to be a skin filter, and it's got like 2,000 likes on Twitter in like 2 hours. So let's get where what is the wording, like, put your money where your mouth is kind of thing. So yeah, guys, that is 20 minutes of rambling about Battlefield and Call of Duty. I'm just excited for this year, man. I'm excited to be able to play 2 games. I'm excited that, you know, I can get Call of Duty on Game Pass and I can get Battlefield on EA Access and spend like 20 bucks, try them both for a month. And if I don't want to play either one of them and go back to old Call of Duties, guess what? I can do that. That's the best part about it, guys. You're free to play whatever you want. But guys, let me know in the comments down below. I know I'm kind of been rambling, and I know the last couple videos have kind of been similar in topic, but this is just very important to me. I know it's crazy. It's a video game, but I don't know. I enjoy doing this, and let me know your feedback. What do you think Black Ops 7 can do to get back into the good graces of people? And don't say change the setting. Like, inside of Black Ops 7, the game we're going to get, what can it do? What can the developers do to get back to people with a positive outlook on this game, and the dislike bar not be a lightsaber like it was back in like 2005 YouTube? But yeah, let me know, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're gonna go back to playing some older CODs here soon, and I got a couple fun ideas in the works here. Like I said last video, I've said that like 6 times now, but I really appreciate all you guys hanging out and watching these videos. If you're a new subscriber, these are not usually the types of videos we make, but you know, hey, speak what you want to speak, I guess, you know, and that's what I'm doing. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Please comment your opinions. Subscribe if you're new, and if you want to watch some other videos, go click over there. We'll see you in the next one.